The galactic combat arena fell silent as the human stepped into the ring without a single weapon. Ambassador Zethrix of the Corvaxi Empire leaned forward in his observation pod, his four eyes narrowing in confusion. Across the arena, the crowd of various alien species murmured in their native tongues, creating a symphony of clicks, whistles, and harmonic frequencies that translated roughly to universal bewilderment. "Is this some kind of joke?" growled General Thax, his chitinous mandibles clicking in amusement. The insectoid warrior had been looking forward to this demonstration ever since the humans had requested membership in the Galactic Defense Coalition. Every species had to prove their combat worthiness, and the humans had seemed so fragile. Marcus Chen stood in the center of the arena, wearing nothing but standard combat attire, a simple gray jumpsuit and bare feet. No plasma rifle, no energy sword, no gravitational disruptor, not even basic armor plating. The human looked almost naked compared to his opponent. On the other side of the ring, the Corvaxi champion Brutusk towered 9 feet tall. His hide was thick as starship hull plating, scarred from countless battles across a dozen systems. Razor-sharp bone spikes jutted from his forearms and shoulders. His massive claws could shred through reinforced steel, and his bite force could crush a hover tank's armor. He had killed over 300 opponents in sanctioned combat across the galaxy. "The human requests no weapons?" Ambassador Zethrix transmitted to the arena's central computer. "Surely there's been an error in translation." Captain Sarah Rodriguez, the human diplomatic envoy, spoke calmly into her communicator from the human observations section. "No error, Ambassador. Marcus volunteered to demonstrate humanity's natural combat capabilities." The arena's announcer, a crystalline being whose voice resonated through harmonic frequencies, began the formal introduction. Representing the Corvaxi Empire, Champion Brutusk the Bone Render, victor of the siege of Kepler Station, destroyer of the mechanical collective's war drones. The list of achievements continued for several minutes. Brutusk raised his arms, roaring in triumph as the crowd cheered. His species was known throughout the galaxy as natural-born killers, evolved from apex predators on a world where everything wanted to eat everything else. Representing the human species of Sol 3, Marcus Chen, unarmed combat specialist, the arena fell quiet again. Several alien dignitaries exchanged glances. The humans' military technology was impressive. Their ships were fast, their weapons efficient, but physically, they seemed so ordinary. Average height, average strength, no natural weapons, no thick hide or carapace. What were they thinking? The combat bell chimed, its deep resonance echoing through the arena. Brutusk charged immediately, his massive frame thundering across the arena floor. His strategy was simple: overwhelm the tiny human with pure force and end this embarrassing display quickly. His claws extended, aiming to pin the human and deliver a quick, merciful death. Marcus didn't run. Instead, he dropped into a low stance, his body relaxed but ready. As Brutusk's massive form bore down on him, the human did something unexpected. He smiled. At the last possible moment, Marcus sidestepped with fluid grace, using Brutusk's own momentum against him. The alien champion's claws swept through empty air as the human slipped past his guard. Before Brutusk could recover, Marcus's fist connected with a nerve cluster just behind the alien's left knee, a weakness he'd studied from hours of anatomical research. Brutusk stumbled, confusion flashing across his predatory features. How had the human known exactly where to strike? The crowd stirred uneasily. This wasn't how these demonstrations usually went. Marcus began to circle his opponent, moving with an economy of motion that spoke of years of training. Every step was calculated, every movement purposeful. He wasn't just fighting. He was thinking, analyzing, adapting. Brutusk roared in frustration and swung his massive claws in a wide arc. Marcus ducked under the swing and struck again, this time targeting a pressure point on the alien's wrist. Brutusk's hand went numb, his grip faltering. "Impossible," whispered General Thax. "The human is targeting our champion's neural pathways with surgical precision." Ambassador Zethrix was no longer lounging in his observation pod. He stood pressed against the viewing screen, watching intently as the small human continued to evade and strike. Each blow was perfectly placed, designed not for brute damage but for maximum tactical effect. Brutusk, growing desperate, attempted to grapple the human using his size and strength advantage, but Marcus was already inside his guard, too close for the claws to be effective. The human's elbow found the soft spot beneath Brutus' arm, temporarily paralyzing the limb. His knee struck a nerve bundle that sent shooting pain through the alien's spine. "He's dismantling him," Captain Rodriguez said quietly, though her words carried in the sudden silence of the arena. Piece by piece, the realization hit the assembled aliens like a quantum pulse. The human wasn't just fighting. He was conducting a masterclass in applied anatomy and tactical combat. Every strike built upon the last, methodically shutting down his opponent's advantages. Brutusk, now favoring his left side and struggling with his numbed right arm, made one final desperate charge. Marcus waited until the last second, then dropped and swept the alien's legs. As Brutusk fell, the human sprang up and applied what looked like a simple grip to the alien's neck. Brutusk's eyes widened in shock as his body refused to obey him. The human's fingers had found the exact pressure points to temporarily paralyze his nervous system, without causing permanent damage. "Yield," Marcus said simply, his voice carrying clearly in the stunned silence of the arena. Brutusk, unable to move but still conscious, managed a grudging grunt of surrender. The arena exploded into chaos. Representatives from dozens of species were on their feet, chattering excitedly in their native languages. The human had just defeated one of the galaxy's most feared combat champions without weapons, without armor, and without inflicting any permanent injury. Ambassador Zethrix activated his communicator. "Captain Rodriguez, how is this possible? Your species appears to have no natural advantages for combat." Captain Rodriguez smiled. "Ambassador, that's where you're wrong. Humans evolved as persistence hunters and problem solvers. We study, we adapt, and we never give up." Marcus spent 3 months learning Corvaxi anatomy and combat techniques. He turned Brutusk's own strengths into weaknesses. "But he had no weapons," General Thax protested. "General," Marcus said as he helped the recovering Brutusk to his feet, "humans learned long ago that the most dangerous weapon is the one between your ears. Everything else is just tools." As the arena began to clear, diplomatic channels across the galaxy buzzed with urgent transmissions. The human application to the Galactic Defense Coalition would be fast-tracked, but more importantly, every military strategist in known space was suddenly very interested in studying human combat techniques. Humanity had just announced to the galaxy that they didn't need weapons to be dangerous. They were the weapon.